Hello, welcome to the Church360 Unite webinar for group overview. Hi, my name is Rod Kiles and I am the Customer Onboarding Specialist for Concordia Technology Solutions. You can reach me one of two ways. You can reach me at rod.kiles@cph.org, and you can also reach me at 314-268-1315. I kindly ask that you mute your phones or microphones and type any questions you may have into the question window. I do answer these questions in order, and I answer all the questions that come up at the end of class. So if you have any questions along the way, please feel free to post those questions, and we'll make sure to get those answered for you at the end of the session. This webinar is going to be broken into three sections. We're going to start out by going through the outline, just discussing the topics to be covered during this webinar. So this is focused on groups, and we'll be talking about groups throughout this webinar. Then we'll switch screens and we'll go into Church360 Unite. From there, we'll go through each one of the items here inside of our outline. Then when we complete all the tasks, this webinar is supposed to run about 30 minutes, so we'll be somewhere inside of that time frame. Then we'll transition back to our PowerPoint presentation, and we'll have our question and answer session. So let's go ahead and go through the outline. So with this webinar, we are going to be focusing primarily on groups. Then within that, we're going to go through the process of creating a group. We'll go through each one of the group features, followed by configuring all of the group settings. So we'll detail each one of those settings so that you'll understand how to use them. Then we'll show editing group pages, which is going to include uploading and inserting assets. So assets are going to be the items that you put on pages like images or documents. So we'll walk through that process. Then we will also cover group communication, so how people communicate through the use of groups. So we'll discuss group emails, we'll discuss discussions, so we'll cover discussions within the software. We'll also go through calendar events. And once we've done that, then we'll show you how to insert a group widget onto some of your other pages. That's kind of like a little advertisement that helps point people over to your newly created group. And we'll have our question and answer session at the tail end. So if you're ready, I'm ready, so let's get started. I'm going to go ahead and switch screens, and everybody should be able to see our sample Church360 Unite page here. So this is just our demo site. We call it demo because it helps us demonstrate the product. And up at the top, you'll see our custom domain, christbakersville.org. And I'm going to click sign in here on the right-hand side. That's going to allow me to sign into the software. And I'm going to go ahead and type in my username and password, and I'm just going to log in as the system administrator. Whenever you log into the software, that does determine what you can and cannot see or can and cannot do within the software. So since I'm an administrator, I'll be able to access all of the components here. So you can also sign in with Facebook or sign in with your Google account as well. And if for some reason you forget your password, you can use the forgot your password link to send yourself a password reset email. So I'm going to click sign in so that I can sign into the software. And once I sign in, you'll notice that there's two menu bars. There's one, I call the top one the admin bar, because the options that you see here can only be seen, these 6 options can only be seen by an administrator. And if you're a publisher, you'll see pages, posts, and activities. So I typically call it the admin bar. Then below that's going to be your main menu. And those are going to be created by the categories and posts, the categories and pages that you create here within the software. So to create a new group, we would go to pages here at the top. And the main focus of this training is going to be able to show everyone how to better utilize their groups. So we'll take you through every aspect of setting up groups here within your church. Some examples of groups, you could have groups for like your altar guild, your board of elders, church choir. You could also have private groups, like church council would definitely be a private group. There's the men's club, men's ministry, women's ministry, young adult ministry. So anything where, people are going to gather together for a specific purpose. Those are going to be the types of groups that we have in the system. So um, here inside of pages, you're going to notice this is broken into two sections. On the left-hand side, there's going to be active menu items, and on the right-hand side, there's going to be available menu items. The active menu items are going to be the items that you see in your main menu bar. So if I close pages here, you'll notice how it says home, I'm new, worship time. So if I close pages, you're going to see home, I'm new, and underneath that, you'll see worship time. So to create a new page or to create a group, you'll use the icons here on the right-hand side. And if you hover over the top of one of them, you'll get a little title, a little pop-out that tells you what the item is for. So there's add category and add page. And when I click add page, that's going to bring this modal window up that allows me to add a static page, a feed page, a group page, or you can create one of our other sample pages here. So I'm going to click on group here, and I'm going to click create page. And what's going to happen is it's going to create the group and allow me to name the group at this point in time. And the group that we're going to create is going to be Living a Chocolate Life. It's one of the Bible studies offered by CPH. So I'm going to say Living a Chocolate Life. Then press enter. And that's going to go ahead and create my group. You'll notice that there's different icons on the left of some of the pages, and there's 5 different types of pages. I kind of briefly mentioned them a second ago, but the groups icon is going to be like a little person inside of your page there, so that's going to represent your group icon. At this point, I can save my changes, and if I want to navigate to that group, I'll click on the hyperlink, or sometimes we call it the slug, to navigate to that page. So clicking on that item will close the pages view and take me over to our newly created group. Each group is going to be or kind of represent a web page or a website within your website. So it's going to have its own areas, kind of like compartments. So it's going to have a home page. Running down the right-hand side, there's going to be discussions, events, members, the option to edit this group, and membership settings. And you'll notice that Kent Williams is already a member of the group. The reason why Kent Williams is a member of this group is because I'm logged in as Pastor Kent Williams, and the person who creates the group is initially injected into the group as the group leader. And that group leader will be able to go in and manage the group, go through and make changes. And once we get to the point of adding in additional members, if for some reason Pastor Kent was no longer going to be part of this group, then at that point, you could create a new group leader and then take Pastor Kent Williams off of that group. So we're here on the home page, and it's going to say Living a Chocolate Life Home. And on this page, we can go through and make changes to the page. So I can click Edit Page here on the left-hand side. That will slide the tray out, and on this tray, you'll have your layout options. The layout options allow you to control the flow of the text. You'll notice as I click on a layout, these little rectangles or squares will appear, and when you type information into those areas, it controls where the information is going to appear. So you'll have one big box, 2 rectangles, 2 equally sized rectangles. Then you can have 2 that are a different size, and there's 3s. Then there's also a 4 option as well. So just depending on how you want the page to look, you'll probably want to consider using layouts. I'm going to use the one big box here for ours because I have an image that I'd like to insert. Running down the left-hand side, there's also the page status. And status determines whether or not the page can be seen by your congregation or whether or not it's still in draft status. If it's still in draft status, the only people that will be able to see this page will be your administrators and your administrators and your publishers. So those will be the 2 people who will be able to see it. This page may be able to be seen by your group leaders if you have a group leader who's set to users. So there's three permission levels there: user, publisher, and administrator. Publisher and administrator will be able to see this page no matter what. They'll be able to access it. But if you're a user, you could be set to group leader, and then that would give you the ability to see this page in draft status. So there's a little bit of I guess, a wrinkle in there, or a little bit of leeway in there for a user to be able to access this page. The benefit of that, not to dwell on it too much, but the benefit of that is you could set somebody as a user and then give them just access to edit these pages here. So when you're a publisher, you have the right to access and edit any of the pages on the site, and when you're an administrator, you have that right to access any pages on the site, modify and change them. So this kind of adds a little bit of wiggle room in there to where you can, assign somebody just to these pages to be able to edit those. So that's published and draft. There's also your URL, your page title, and meta description. Meta description is an additional description that you can fill in about this page that is going to be passed on to the search engine. So it won't show directly in the page, but it's kind of like in the background, telling the world about this page. So if you click inside the body of the page, you'll notice how our toolbar appears. And what I'd like to do is discuss inserting assets at this point. So I'm actually going to take the word home off of here. And to insert an asset is going to be anything that's like images, audio, video. You can embed YouTube. Those are considered to be assets. And I'm going to click on the image icon here. And when the window appears, you're going to see that there's select image and advanced at the top. There's also the option for upload, and we're going to upload an image. So I'm going to scroll down and select one of the images that I have here, click on that image and click open. And you're going to notice that the image starts to upload, and then when it's done, the image is going to appear here under assets uploaded on this page. You can also upload documents as well. That would be considered an asset. And if I wanted to get rid of this image from this view, I can use the little trash can, just to kind of mention that. So once the image is uploaded, I'm going to want to go to the Advanced tab. And the images nowadays are pretty large. Like you can tell this one's 1280 by 960. And you'll notice here on the right-hand side that the aspect ratio is locked. If I click on if I click on the little link there, that will unlock it, but you really do want that lock to be closed, and it's kind of overlapping right now. I put a ticket into the programmers to fix that, but if it says unlock aspect ratio, that's not the status, that's the action that you want to take. So across, left to right, a website is typically about 900 pixels, and our picture here is about 1280, or is 1280. So I'm going to take it down to 650 wide. Then I'm going to click on OK. And then that's going to resize my image. And it really shouldn't be stretched or skewed at this point. So it should fit in there pretty good. Then what I would do is I would click Save. And then that would be our home page at this point in time. So anytime that somebody would navigate to this page, this is what they would see. They'd see Living a Chocolate Life here, and then they'd have this nice looking picture here. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at the group settings for this group. So I'm going to click Edit This Group, and then that's going to take me to the group settings. So here in the group settings, there's going to be title, description, and pages. And give me just 1 second. I want to paste the description in there so that that can show here a little bit later on down the line. So just 1 second, and I'm going to copy some text from my desktop here. Okay. And everybody should be able to see my screen now. And I just copied and pasted text into the description so that later on down the line when we go through creating our widget, it'll have a little bit of a description. So below that, there's going to be pages. And within a group, you can create as many pages as you would like, but you can only have 3 pages showing at a time. So for page title, I'm going to create 2 pages. I'm going to create a resource page, and I'm also going to create a photos page. And running down the left-hand side, you're going to see 2 little check boxes, and you'll notice as I check those boxes, those pages will appear here on the right-hand side. You'll also notice that they have a draft status, so that means that they're only available to your group leaders, publishers, and administrators at this time. These pages do have inline editing, so if I needed to change the name of them or delete those pages, I could do so from right there. And then there's a couple warning messages, and those are talking about, the page not being published if it's draft, that it won't be visible to other people, and that if you link to those draft pages, you'll get an error message. So below that, it's going to say group details are visible too. And so far, since we haven't saved the page, the resource page and photo pages aren't down here at the bottom, but with the visibility, the group leader has the ability to specify who can see the default pages, and when we save this, they'll be able to determine who can see our additional pages as well. So you'll have the option of no one, only group leaders, only group members, only Unite users, and everyone. So if I set this to only group members, that means that the people would have to be a member of the group to be able to see that information. If I say only Unite users, that means that people who log in to the site will be able to see this information. So let's say only group members. Then below that, it's going to say who can join this group. And anyone who is logged into this site, or you'll have 2 options, anyone who is logged into this site, or only people I have invited. So this applies to more than just, this concept applies to more than just this group. So if you say anyone who is logged into the site, then there'll be a link available so that people can send you a request to join the group. If you say only people I have invited, then that link will be missing, and whoever is the group leader will have to actively invite people or add people to the group. So let's say only people I've invited. So let's say that this is a private group. So then we could say update group, and then that will update the group. I'm going to go back to edit this group just for a second to show that now the photos and the resource pages show up here, and then I could change the status on those. So once we have our group settings set up, then next let's take a look at discussions. So with discussions, discussions give you the ability to communicate with the people inside of your group. So group members will be able to see the things that are posted. There's 3 types of discussions, There's 3 types of discussion. There's discussion, prayer request, and announcement. So I'm going to go ahead and create one of each. So like a discussion, a good example would be, what should we do at our next group meeting? So that could be a discussion, and you could post that. Then people would have the option to reply. You'd have the option to edit, and you could have, as an administrator or a group leader, you'd have the option to delete as well. So an example of a prayer request could be request prayer for the homeless, and you could post that. And the third type would be announcement, and you could be announcing that the Living the Chocolate Life Bible study is going to start. So and then you could post it. So discussions are pretty straightforward there. Let's go to members down here at the bottom, continuing the discussion of communication. So with members, here's where you'll actually be able to see the members who are part of this group and invite members to join this group or remove members from this group. So down here at the bottom, it's going to say all members. And to invite a member, you'll just go to select an option here. And then you can select the people that you'd like to either add as a member or invite as a member. So I'm going to select Sue Abbott, and I'm going to add her as a member. I'm also going to add Sally Baxter and Kira Belton. So those people are going to be added. But in addition, I'm going to invite Carmen Carroll, invite Teresa Carter, Molly Chung, and Tiffany Cook. Okay, and you'll notice the difference. People who've joined don't have the term invited. So people who are invited will receive an invite email, which they can click on the link and accept the invite. So there's also the option for requests. Earlier I was talking about if you have this set up to where people can request to join, then those people will show up here, and then as group leader you can invite those people. If you invite somebody or add somebody and they're no longer going to be part of the group, you can use the circle minus here on the right hand side to remove them from the list. Also, in addition, from this window, you can use this to communicate with group members. To be part of the group, you have to be invited to Church360 Unite first, but once that's done, you can use the checkboxes here on the left-hand side to communicate with the members of the group. So at that point, you can email the selected people or email all. And if you click on that link, that's going to pass the email addresses over to your default email client. On this computer, the default email client is Outlook, but you could have it set up as Gmail or Yahoo Mail. All that would just be tied to your web browser. You'll notice with the email address that it says for undisclosed recipients. That's stating that the names for these recipients are hidden. They're going to be encrypted into this email address. So we call it email relay because it's relaying information out to the people there. But it is going to be hidden so that no one can receive all the names and then spam the information or spam emails out to those people. So you would just at this point add a subject, type in the body, and click send to send the email out to the group members. So let me go ahead and close that. I'm going to say no. And from there, the only other option to show in this window is going to be change roles. So if Pastor Williams was no longer going to be the group leader and say Sue Abbott was going to become the group leader, what I would do is I could check on Sue Abbott here, click change role, and then I could promote her to leader, and I could check Kent Williams, change role, and then demote him to member if I needed to. So, and that would be managing the memberships, managing members of this group. So you will notice as I added in the discussions that the most recent discussions will show up here on the right hand side. So people will be able to see the most recent comments. Let's go to the resource page real quick before we navigate away from this group in some aspect to add in group events. So if I click on the resource page, when it comes to each one of those pages that I've created, I can use the normal page editing information. So I'm going to click here on the resource page, and if the resource page was going to be a place where people could download documents, I could say document 1 here. I'll just use the number 1. Then I could highlight document 1, click on the hyperlink here inside of the toolbar, and then that'll bring up this modal where it'll give me the option to specify what type of link I'm going to create. And I'm going to select the one for a file that users can download since I'm going to be uploading a document. So here I'm going to click upload, and that's going to take me to my Explorer window where I can select the document, and at that point, and actually let me select one that has text in it. In that point, click open, and then that's going to upload that document. If I click OK, that will finish that saving process. Then I'll click Save here on the right-hand side. You should see a banner across the top letting me know that it's been saved. And I'll be able to close that banner and close Edit Page. Then, whenever people access the group, they can click on Document 1 and be able to read that document. And since it's a PDF, it would be you wouldn't really be able to edit it unless it was set up to be editable. But that's how you could add resources to your group so that group members could go by and read those documents. So now let's take a look at adding in an event. So with this group, since this is a Chocolate Life and it's going to be a Bible study, there is an events calendar that you can access, but also you can add events to the calendar. So you can do that by clicking on the date that you want to add the event for, or you can use the new event button. So if say this Bible study was going to start taking place on the 24th. So I can click 24 here, and then that'll bring up a window. And I'm going to say a Chocolate Life Bible study. And then over here on the right-hand side, you can select a calendar or multiple calendars. Since we're already in the Living a Chocolate Life, since we're already in the group, it's going to allow us, or it's going to go ahead and populate that information. So it's going to add it to that calendar automatically. And I want to change this. Living a Chocolate Life Bible Study. And then there's going to be the eye here to let you know who it's visible to. And if you hover over the item, it's going to let you know that it's visible to the members of this group. We can state the location. So this could be Meeting Room A. And below that, we can say when it starts, the time that it occurs, when it ends, and the time that it ends. So say that this Bible study starts at 6:30 p.m. and runs to 7:30 p.m. So it runs about an hour. And also state, if you wanted to state that it happens over a 4-week period, you can check the box that says this event repeats. And you can say every single week on Thursday, and it starts on the 24th. You can also state when it ends. So it starts on the 24th, so 24th, 31st, 7th. So it's going to end on the 14th of April. Then you could fill in a description if you wanted to. Then below that, there's going to be the option to invite people to the event. Since we're tied to a group, it's going to allow us to select those people. This will send out a single email as the invitation. Then we can also remind them as well. So we could say 2 hours before and 1 day before each one of the events. So this person, I guess initially prior to the first event would receive 3 emails, but then prior to each subsequent event they would just receive 2, one being 2 hours before and one being 1 day before. At this point we would say create event, and then that would create the event. Then we would see the event on our calendar. I guess there's a third way. There's a new event button down here at the left as well. But that's how you would add the event to your calendar. So once we have our event created, then probably the next thing to do would be, or once we have our group created, then the next thing to do would probably be to add this group to our groups page. So we have a groups page here. We have one underneath the ministries tab called groups. And once we go to groups, we can see all of the groups here inside of our church. So I'm going to go to edit page, and that will allow me to add the widget that I've been talking about here for most of this webinar, or talking about early on and now. So then I can click on where it says add group, and I can select the group that we just created, a Living a Chocolate Life. I can insert either a small, medium, or large widget, and I'm going to choose medium here and click OK. That will give me a link to the group, and it'll show the description that I added in. Once I was done with that, I could click Save and close Edit Page here. And then if I click on the link underneath our Groups page, that would take us back to our Living a Chocolate Life group. So people would have, people who are part of the group would have access to it. So the only other thing I did want to show is whenever a user logs in, they can click on their name here at the upper right, and that'll take them to their profile. And since Pastor Kent is part of the Living a Chocolate Life group, then it'll show him there and the other group members. So that's pretty neat. Okay, so I'm going to switch back to our PowerPoint presentation and ask, do you have any questions? And I do see that there's a few questions, or there's a question here in our question box. And I'll go ahead and answer that question. But before I do, at the end of these, people tend to drop off. So I do want to thank everybody for attending and hope you enjoyed this class. If you have any further questions, you can give us a call at 1-800-346-6120. And any further questions outside of the question and answer session. And then you can also shoot us an email at support@cts.cph.org. Okay. Hello, Sharon. Thanks for posting that question. I appreciate it. The question is, I had to answer the phone, or maybe that's more like a statement, and missed the first part of creating groups. Is the webinar available on YouTube or a different place to review again? Great question. So the webinar, when I get done with this phone call, what I'll do is I will go to our YouTube channel and I will type in I will upload the video. So when I get done with this webinar, let me restate that. When I get done with this webinar, I will download the webinar from our GoToWebinar software. Once it's downloaded, I'll upload it to YouTube, and you'll be able to go to our YouTube channel to view it. So you'll be able to go to the Concordia Technologies YouTube channel, and we're Concordia Technology Solutions. And then on there, actually, let me go to YouTube. And once you're on YouTube, you can go to, you can search for Concordia Technology Solutions. That'll take you to our page, or that'll help you find our page. Then you can click on our page where you'll see our videos, and I'll be uploading this one here in the next 20 minutes or something like that. So yeah, absolutely. Okay. And if you have any other questions, oh, thanks. I really appreciate it. I really do. And if you have any other questions, you can post those. I will hold on. If not, I really appreciate everybody's time, and I will talk to you soon. I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful weekend.